Tarkov Season 1 is finally here, and today we're going to go through all of the things that we've discovered on day one that weren't explicitly in the patch notes or that we now understand how they worked. Starting with the codes that you need to use in your launcher to get some extra stuff, and a method to get the new container, secret one that we haven't seen before. So what I'll do first is I'll pop up a bunch of the codes on screen here. I'll put them down in the description as well so you can copy them out. But basically the way these things work is that you open your launcher like this, you go into your little drop down and you press activate code. It's much better to do it through the launcher because I believe some of them don't work on the website anymore, because I know BSG have been trying to move as many things away from the website and into either the launcher or into the new account system inside the game rather than using the website. So you press activate code, you paste the code in here, press activate, and then you should see it pop up in game. And there's a few different ones. There's a couple from the different game conventions that they've been going to. That is the first three. And then the second one is different combinations of the codes that streamers have been getting within these packs that they've been receiving. I was very fortunate to receive one as well. And these codes unlock some stuff, including Black Division dog tags. Now, I haven't actually accepted most of mine. So you can see in here that you do actually get a ton of stuff. There's loads of things from these codes that you get. I did actually take the Keytool out, and you can see that there's these Black Division dog tags as well over here. But when you accept these, if you go and look at the things that it says here, so it says here on the promo code, and I think I might actually be missing one, so I'm gonna have to go through and check myself to go and grab one of these that I didn't. But with these Black Division ones, you'll see it says, thank you for activating the incorrect promo code, and you get these dog tags. And you see there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the number 1, which I'm missing. And that's the one that you get the dog tag from. Now, weirdly, if you look at the code here, this spells out the word circle. So what you've got to do is you've got to go to your hideout and you've got to put them into the cultist circle. And if you do that, then you'll get a new documentation briefcase so that you can hold the items for the new battle pass, which is free. And I'll be explaining in a second. If you don't have the cultist circle yet, like me, because I'm on EOD, you'll have to go and make that first before you can put those things in. So don't go and sell those Black Division dog tags. Just make sure you don't delete them or anything stupid like that by accident. So what is this briefcase exactly for? Well, there are some new types of documentation. And if we look here, I found 2 already. I found these, the test documentation. And this one is from Woods. You can see on the description where they're from. This is Shoreline and Woods and Icebreaker. And I found 2 of these already, and they stack up like this. And where you use these is you use them in the Cord Breach Season 1 menu. So you can see on the right hand side what you need to unlock each thing. So there's a whole different set of pages. It's a traditional battle pass type system. So you go up to 12 pages. Within each item, you have to give in certain types of documents. And below you can see the different types of documents that you have. So you've got financial, PMC personnel, project documentation, blueprints and technical, test documentation, use documentation, medical, and technical. And these things are found on different maps, and it shows you which map you find each one on. There's also another type which is called classified documents, and this is like a general catch-all, sort of like, I guess, like wildcard type one, and you can use this to replace any of these others. And these are the ones that you're actually able to buy. So if you go into the expansion hub, you can buy the documents for the battle pass, and in theory you could just buy all 500 and you could buy your way through the entire battle pass straight away at the moment. I think for me that's going to cost, with taxes, it's probably going to end up being about £100. So it's probably about 130 bucks, 120 bucks, something like that, to buy through the whole battle pass if you did want to do that. But if you get through seasonal, you want to get some of the rewards later on, you've only got through 70% of it, for example, and you just want to buy the last bit, then you could potentially do that without missing out, because otherwise these things are going to be locked forever behind Season 1, and you're never going to be able to unlock them again. So BSG pulling out a bit of the FOMO in here. So before we carry on and go and look at some of the other bits, I do just want to point out here that you are able to wipe your seasonal character, but it's not the usual system. You have to pay 100 tar coins, which is pretty cheap, to be honest. If you go to try and look at how much tar coins cost, I still haven't paid for this one, which is 10 bucks for the 2,000 tar coins, but you can see, you know, 100 to reset the account isn't a great deal. So it's not the end of the world, but it's just interesting that they've given this as an option in here rather than forcing you to wait 2 weeks as usual. And I know some people are already eyeing this up because of some of the perks and some of the changes to the perk system that people may not have realized or taken things that end up being quite bad. So we'll look at that next. Perks wise, not much has changed really on the philosophy of the way that I've picked. These are the ones that I have chosen personally, and it does seem like people are either going for an average type build where your skills are at level 25 the whole time, and I think that's good for casual players. Otherwise, I've gone for kind of a stamina type build, marathon runner, leg and arm stamina is consumed 20% slower. This allows you to run 25% further, which is quite good. And then arm and leg stamina increased by 10, increases that by another bit. So you end up running nearly 40% further with these two. I went for street tax because I thought that'd be quite fun. I think already people have had 150k rubles and something like 100 euros, $100, something like that. So it was actually quite a lot. We don't know what Lucky does at this point, but I just chose it because I didn't want to be on the wrong side of Nikita's bad luck. And the modifier that's probably caused the most stir right now is allergic, because people are having to figure out which allergies they actually have. The game doesn't tell you. And there's a lot of people who are allergic to the early game items, and I wonder whether this, when you still have allergies to be found, whether it rolls a chance on an item that you eat. So you might want to eat kind of more rare items that you don't want first. I'm not sure if this is the way it works or not. It's very hard to tell, but just so many people seem to have allergies to like the basic things that you find early and stuff that you find in the tutorial, that I'm suspicious that the allergies potentially aren't rolled with your character, but they roll as you go through the game. So I'd just be a little careful of that, a little bit mindful. Obviously, you can't avoid drinking water. A lot of people have actually ended up with a water allergy, which I think BSG should remove, because I think that's just really silly. That doesn't actually exist for drinking water to give you an allergic reaction in real life, obviously. So that's a bit dumb, but it's quite interesting and fun seeing what people end up being allergic to, whether it's like super water or proposols, which does suck a bit. I do think that's quite painful. The other one that I would want to point out is Dr. Jekyll seems to be quite punishing. I thought it was going to be quite punishing in the first place. This is the one where open wounds don't heal until the end of the race. So you just end up bleeding all the time. And those people who've taken it seem to just be bleeding constantly. So I would just avoid Dr. Jekyll, even more so than when I said originally. But I'm quite happy with these so far, to be honest. I think that they're pretty good. And these ones I haven't really felt too much. The Well That Hurt and Osteoporosis, I hardly noticed with the medkits, to be honest. I don't think I've really fractured that many limbs. I do feel the bleed chance has gone up a bit when you get shot by scavs. It does, you do bleed a lot more, but it's relatively easy to fix, and I don't think it's too bad. So yeah, some of the perks have got more expensive. One of the reasons why I didn't want to take Hercules, because I went up to -5 points for 15 strength and 15 endurance right off the bat. And I wasn't sure if that was really worth it. There weren't enough negative perks that I could take that actually allowed me to do everything, and I thought, fine, whatever. I'll just go through and just get to the level 15 on my own. It's probably 50 raids or something, which is quite a lot, and it does mean that my overall level will probably be lower because I don't usually get max strength and endurance. There's only one other one that we didn't know about as well, which is called Prodigy, and this one is your skills level 30% faster. Now, I was really torn about this because it sounds really great, but one of the issues that you have with something like that is, imagine that you are leveling metabolism, and metabolism is probably the worst for this. And so you're thirsty and you drink some water, and then it levels your metabolism. I don't know whether they've increased the diminishing returns cap for Prodigy, because imagine you're only able to take 15 points of experience into metabolism before diminishing returns hit. Well, if you get 30% more skill XP, that means that now you're only able to drink 10 skill points worth or something, but the cap's still the same. So I suspect that the cap is still the same, which is why I ended up not taking Prodigy. And it'll work for those things that you don't really hit the cap on, stuff like covert movement or mag drills or things like that. Maybe also heavy vest, light vest as well, stuff that you don't really max out. But strength endurance, I'm not sure if it's going to affect it that much, which is why I ended up not taking it. It was kind of difficult to work it out, and it was kind of expensive for something that I was really unsure about. Okay, next up, let's look at the traders and the quests, because this is where Season 1 is probably the most different that we've ever had in Escape from Tarkov, really since its creation, in that the quest lines are totally different, and the way that the trader works is also totally different. So now you can see, to get to level 2 traders, it is now 0.7, 0.6, 0.6, 0.5, blah, blah, blah. But that seems really high based on our old experience. However, when you look at the tasks, pretty much all the tasks give you 0.1. So you have a lot more flexibility about which ones you want to do. Also, you end up getting all sorts of random tasks early that are now easier, that then unlock other tasks. And they're split into different parts. So you've got loyalty level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you've also got essential tasks as well, which we'll look at in one moment. But just for example, if you look over on Ragban, I've currently got Longline already, and I'm only level 11, and I've only just done a few of his missions. So this is kill 4 PMCs on interchange. This used to be a end game task to kill 20 PMCs inside them all, and now it's an early task that gives you, yet again, 0.1. And what I think is interesting about this is that this actually brings one of the biggest controversial issues between EOD, Unheard, and Standard much closer. Because if you think about the way it used to be, Standard accounts used to be on 0, rep when you started, and EOD and Unheard were on 0.2. And a lot of the quests gave either 0.01, 0.02, or 0.03. So you'd have to do 5 or 6 missions to get to the same level that EOD would have at the beginning. Whereas EOD still starts with 0.2 now, and standard starts on 0.0. And so as a standard player, you've only got to do 2 missions to catch up with the people who are on the higher editions of the game, which I think is kind of cool. We said this in some of the patch stuff before, we knew this previously, that you don't have any money spent anymore, so it's literally just to do with missions, and the missions themselves don't actually really give you anything unless they're special ones. They just give you money and experience, and then the trader rep to go towards the next level. So you can get to Prapor level 2 pretty easily now. It's only at level 6, and then you just need to get to 0.7, so you basically have to do 5 or 7 missions for him, depending on which edition of the game you've got. And so I've just gone through Tor, tried to unlock everybody. Apparently the way that you unlock a ref, supposedly by the way, is you hand in the 2 flash drives for what's on the flash drive, but I haven't gone through enough of his quest to know exactly which unlocks here. I've gone through quite a few of these other ones, and it's just interesting what you get. So you end up getting like Swift early over on Jaeger, and a lot of the tasks are much easier as well. They're like very different. It's a complete shake-up in quests, and we've been asking for this for a really long time, because it's hard to know how to min-max now, because we don't know what's coming, we don't know what order, we don't know exactly how the quests have changed. Obviously you can go over onto your permanent account and go and check. You can probably go and do show completed and go and find the ones there and look through what's happened, because usually they change retrospectively. So we're just going to go through it and see how the progression path works on seasonal. That won't be so obvious. So onto the essential tasks. Once you reach Prapor level 2, you get the first task for Chord Breach, which is uninvited guests. This basically requires you to go and grab some bits and pieces. And as you can see, I'm not exactly there yet, but Trey has put up what the first quest actually is. And you can see on this the foresight that you get as to what unlocks later on. So we've got money cases, the QBZ, which is one of the new guns, which we'll talk about in a moment, briefcase for documents, as we just saw now from the cultist circle, thick weapons case and thick items case come at some point along this quest line. So you know if you work on this quest line, eventually you will receive those things. So new quests we've never seen before. Obviously you can probably look out on the wiki, they'll be updating them as people go through. But for now, we just got to keep going, work our way through, get up to the higher trader levels and see what seasonal brings on that front. We can start to see the new gear crates working. So I've already had my first case from Prapor, one of the early days of here's some stuff, you know, you're new into the game and here you go, here's a crate. So rather than just being a bunch of random items, you now get an actual box full of things. And to be honest, it was pretty stacked actually, more stacked than it used to be. So that's pretty cool. There's also an interesting new mechanic that they've put in the game, which they teased about padlocks, but because of the way that they put them in the game, it's actually changing the map flow quite a lot. Now, I haven't determined yet whether the padlocks themselves are random and varied in the different raids. That would actually be pretty cool if they were. But the deal with the padlock is that if it's on one side of the door, you can't get through on the other side of the door. If you're on the side with the padlock, you have to shoot the padlock off so people will hear you. So it's quite a nice trade-off, and it does make some interesting pathing around the map. As I was going around, the route through to Old Gas Station was actually locked off, and I ended up using the flare extract instead because I couldn't figure out an easy way of, maybe I could have leant round or whatever, but I had sniper scav shooting at me. And so it kind of makes you have to change paths sometimes dynamically based on where those padlocks are. So I hope that they are moving around in different raids. They're not always on the same doors, but if they are, then that's actually still going to change the map quite a bit. And I found a couple so far. There's one on Factory, which is on the outside section, which is the Customs Transit. Then I found that one that I just mentioned at Old Gas, and then there's another one on Customs as well, over by that little med shack thing over in Big Red. And I've also seen somebody else posted about one on the second floor of dorms over by the car as well. So keep an eye out for those. If you can't get through a door that you should be able to get through normally, then maybe it's padlocked on the other side. But if you see any more, write down in the comments below, let people know where they are. And I'm sure it'll become second nature soon, but it's quite cool to see how it's changing the maps. So I'm going to talk about the new guns a little bit. We'll just have a quick peek at them. However, before this, let's look at the new trader offers that you have over on the regular traders. Now, there is usually on these guys one gun which is modded and is worth buying over the others. So you may spot, if you look through this list, that this guy is particularly modded compared to all the others and is only 93k. So if you do want to just pick up a modded gun straight off the bat, then you can get this. I think this is pretty good value, honestly, especially given that, you know, the AK-74 UB is only a little bit more with the suppressor, and that a lot of the base guns end up being, you know, 40k, 50k, something like that. You'll end up spending a bit more than that anyway, just trying to add a sight or whatever it might be. So this is a pretty interesting one. 65 vertical recoil, 74 ergonomics. genuinely quite a good gun. It already comes with a laser on it too. You could swap that to the other side if you want. And one of the better stocks in the game, which is this guy, the UAS AK, which is why it's got such good ergonomics. So yeah, 75 ergo. This gun is pretty nice. Over on Skier, he's got one here, which you can see, which is a kitted out ADAR, 70 ergo and 77 vertical recoil. Not as great on the vertical recoil front. You could potentially buy this and just swap it over with the M4 that you have if you're USEC. Otherwise, you're probably going to have to wait until you're Mechanic 2, because I haven't actually checked. Don't know if those lowers are available at Mechanic level 1 or level 2 yet. But if you've got M4s like this, you could swap those over onto here and have a kind of modded M4 with nice high ergo already by spending 140k with Skier. I'm probably not going to do that because that is a little bit much at the moment and I want to put my money into other things, but it's there if you need to, and it has a Bravo with a PKO 6 on the top. So if you do want something with a 4x on it, you can actually just buy this in cash. Over at Peacekeeper, here's a new one, which is the MP5. I'm not really sure if I'm going to buy this, but it comes with a little scope on top. It's one of these guys, the MRSs, and it has a RVG foregrip and also a light on it. I think this is maybe a bit much. This is nearly 100k, given that you can just buy a regular MP5, and functionally this isn't actually really that much different. Not much point modding the MP5 anyway. The recoils is exactly the same. It has 5 more ergo, but does anybody really care? Not particularly, so I'm not sure about that one. And then over on Mechanic, you can now buy the Uzi from Mechanic directly. This also has a X400 on it, and it's got a vertical foregrip on it, compensator, and looks pretty sweet. This is only 60k as well, so this is actually pretty good value, and I don't think you can buy the Uzi at level 1 anyway. So if you do want to get this, then you can do. Super controllable. It's got really slow fire rate, 600 RPM. Sometimes it can work in the first week though. Okay, so what guns are new? There's not actually that many. We've got the QBZ though, which is this thing, which is a Chinese weapon. And there's not that many parts for it. Most of the parts are kind of towards the front. There's only one upper. There's 2 different handguards. Got this guy, 10-inch one, and also this, 13.5-inch. There is a suppressor that you can put on. Outside of that, there's not really much you can do at the front at all. And obviously you're just going to put some kind of vertical foregrip on it, whatever it might be that you want. Over on the stocks, there's nothing you can do over there either, and you can change 2 different barrels. There are 2 barrels that you can use. That's the one that allows you to then swap over to a different handguard, which is this one, the long version, if you want. But there's not a great deal you could do to this gun, so we'll probably test it out at some point. I don't have this unlocked at the moment, so we'll figure it out, how to get through Core Breach and open it up, and then we'll give it a try and see what it looks like. But honestly, like, it's not too bad, even as is. It depends on how cheap it is. If it's relatively inexpensive, then it could end up being relatively good. 68 ergonomics and 63 vertical recoil with the suppressor is not bad at all, actually. So we'll see. Jury's still out on this guy. 750 RPM, so it's sort of equivalent to like the G36 in some ways. So we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. Kind of interesting though. The other one is the Howa Type 20. This is the Japanese gun. So I'm going to have a look at this guy. This, it looks a little bit like a Scar or something like that. Again, not too many parts for this. You can put any of the AR-15, because this one is a 5.56 weapon. So you can put any of the sort of AR-15 pistol grips on, all the regular ones. And then you can put on the Howa Print X suppressor on the front, or you could just go with something more regular, one of the usual suspects that we know and love from the M4 or the ADAR or whatever else that you usually like to run in this particular caliber. Got just one handguard choice, and I think there's only one barrel as well, yeah. So it's pretty limited at the moment, not too much you can do with it. This one comes out at 53 vertical recoil, which is quite a lot lower, but it's 700 RPM, so it's in the middle between the MDR and the G36. Is this the same as the AUG? I think it's very close to the AUG. So it's a little bit slower fire rate, but the recoil is really, really good. So I actually think this might replace the Scar as kind of like a slower firing sort of budget option, depending on how cheap it is. If it's really expensive, then it's just going to be, I don't know, kind of a flex piece rather than anything actually useful. But we'll see how it goes. It looks pretty cool, looks pretty neat. Excited to get my hands on this gun and actually use it. The only other one that we've got is the 416. They basically did the whole deal that they did with the SR25 to this gun, where we've got the original one in black, and then we've got this version, which is in tan. And there are some new parts for the 416. You can see there's some new handguards and things like that. And I think there's potentially some extra stocks as well. I haven't gone through explicitly to look at absolutely everything yet, but if you did want to run the 416 in tan, then you now can. Within this caliber, there are actually a few new magazines, which we haven't seen before. So the first one is this guy, and there's a tan version of this as well, the Lancer L5 30 rounder. It's okay, it's got -1/2 ergo, which is pretty good. compare this to the Stanag mag. It's nice and light, slightly better on ergonomics, which are actually pretty good, but nothing groundbreaking. And the other one that's kind of fun, we've seen this in Grey Zone Warfare actually, is the DD 32 round magazine with half an ergo point lower. This one looks pretty strong. Obviously, most people are going to pick high capacity mags instead, but it's still relatively light, only half an ergo point negative and a 5% load unload speed modifier along with the check speed modifier, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it's pretty neat, nice one. I like that one. It's good to have that in the game finally. And there are some other parts. I'm not going to go through absolutely everything because there are a few different bits and pieces. I might go through and do an actual proper test of them, but there are a couple of new scopes. So you've got this 3x prism scope here, which I've not had a chance to look at yet, but maybe I will do. We've got a new ACOG that's been added. So if you put on the short mount, you can see this thing, which is now in the game. There's this thing, this 3x scope, and there's also this, which is a new 30mm scope. This guy, the Dion March f1 to 8 by 24. But this thing only goes into the Hauer 30mm ring scope mount, so you can't just put this in like a Nightforce or something, unfortunately. It'll only go into this. So I'm going to keep bashing away today, get a load more progress, and then I'm going to be coming out with some more videos over the next week or two, showing you all of the new changes and all the things you need to look at. So you'll probably find me live if you're watching this video. As always, a big shout out to all my patrons, and as usual, have fun in your raids.